Well, as we've extensively reported, PG&E customers have seen their rates rise a whopping 4 times this year alone, making it hard for families, let alone businesses, to make ends meet.
$21,000 for this restaurant for 1 month. How do you pay that bill?
PG&E is out of control.
Why does the government allow this monopoly?
Each of those 4 rate increases is the result of the California Public Utilities Commission approving PG&E's requests. Now, according to the Commission's website, the duties for those people on that commission include ensuring that customers have safe, reliable utility service at reasonable rates, protecting against fraud, and they're promoting the health of California's economy. Now, the 5-member panel, the ones you see here, is made up of mostly lawyers, all appointed by Governor Gavin Newsom to 6-year terms. But is this commission doing its job? Well, at least one former president of the commission, a longtime Valley lawmaker, and a growing list of others say no.
We're transforming your hometown utility from the underground up.
PG&E has been in the process of installing thousands of miles of power lines underground as part of its efforts to prevent wildfires at a substantial cost passed on to customers.
This PUC has become a lapdog.
Loretta Lynch is a former president and commissioner with the CPUC. She says the commission isn't asking enough questions or demanding enough from the utility to justify these expenses.
First, they're supposed to look and see, determine, based on facts, not just what PG&E asserts, they are supposed to determine, is this spending necessary? And if it's necessary, is this the best way to attack the problem, or are there more cost-effective alternatives? And the real problem here is the PUC is not.
To say that I'm frustrated over what I've seen in 12 years really is an understatement. I'm just plain mad.
Assemblymember Jim Patterson of Fresno has been the vice chair of the Assembly Utilities and Energy Committee.
Do you consider a crisis imminent or not?
A committee that has put commissioners in the hot seat.
There is an undercurrent of real distrust by members of our committee, both Democrats and Republicans, that the PUC is just simply a rubber stamp for the utility requests.
A big reason, utilities continue requesting rate hikes even as profits for shareholders have soared. PG&E reported profits rose to over $2.2 billion, up 25% in 2023.
Absolutely. The focus should be on the CPUC because they're the decision makers.
Mark Toney with the Utility Reform Network, or T.U.R.N, has been among those advocating for changes at the CPUC. He's calling for greater transparency from commissioners, starting with making utility rate hikes agenda items open for discussion in public and not simply a vote that's being determined behind closed doors. Well, people have voiced their concerns.
Vote no on the price increase. I'm a student. I cannot afford to pay more for my electricity.
4 rate hikes in the last year? How can you feel comfortable?
1 in 5 households have to forgo their basic necessities in order to pay utility bills.
2 of the 4 rate hikes that were passed this year were decided with no explanation from commissioners.
They should always have the integrity and accountability to explain, because ratepayers deserve an explanation.
T.U.R.N is also calling for increasing the wait period when commissioners can work for utilities once their term is up. Currently, they have to wait at least a year. T.U.R.N backed legislation to legally require a longer wait time.
A commissioner should need to wait for 10 years before they can work for a utility. We think that is enough time, and enough separation. But 1 year, that's just not enough. Absolutely not enough.
A move Lynch agrees with.
As they go out the door, they leave a whole lot of presents for the utilities.
Patterson, however, thinks the wait should be even longer, permanent.
I think there should be a lifetime ban. Take the initiative away from being tempted to be influenced by the very people that you're regulating. I also think that should be something that members of the legislature ought to be controlled by.
Toney says things are moving in the right direction. He says an executive order from Governor Newsom last month that calls for the CPUC to look closer at utility wildfire safety processes, procedures, and practices is a good start.
I think it sends a very clear message to the CPUC that he expects them to make affordability a much higher priority and to do much more to control these skyrocketing rates.
But Patterson says the order doesn't do enough.
I think that's a stunt. Nice try, Governor. If he were serious about it and was concerned, as I am or as ratepayers are, he'd start firing some board members. He'd start replacing them with people who he knows for sure will do the right thing.
He says that order was likely the result of public pressure. All agree lawmakers are starting to listen.
It's got to be loud. It's got to be big. It has to be consistent. And it has to register at the ballot box.
The more they hear, the more they're not going to be able to keep going the way they are with these skyrocketing bills. They have to respond because elected officials are getting scared.
Until the voters decide to make this an issue, then it's going to be same old, same old.
In a statement, PG&E says that the CPUC sets the rules for how much profit it can make and says that it is investing a majority of its profits back into the business to keep costs down and limit unnecessary expenses. We did reach out to the CPUC for a response, and here is some of what we were sent. A spokesperson says that it hasn't granted all of PG&E's requests, pointing out the utility made its case in 2023 for $15.4 billion. Instead, the commission cut that to $13.6 billion. In February, it voted to shift funding on an energy storage program for low-income customers from ratepayers to the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund. It goes on to say that rates for PG&E customers will fluctuate and will eventually actually decrease starting in March of next year, as it'll finish collecting costs on wildfire risk reduction and wildfire and natural gas safety costs. You can see more of what the CPUC as well as PG&E sent us over on our website, kmph.com. We also wanted to know what role, if any, Governor Newsom, again, who appointed this commission, has played in the decisions made by members of the CPUC. We filed a public records request in July for correspondence between his office and the CPUC. We continue to receive updates from the CPUC as recently as last week that request is still being processed. We will update you once we receive an answer.
Hi, I'm Monty Torres with Fox 26 News on YouTube. Thank you for checking out our YouTube channel, where we have loads of great content for you to choose from. And while you're here, why not click on the subscribe button right here? That way you can stay in touch with all the latest breaking news, everything news related within the Central Valley. And thank you for watching.